We are coming into the holiday season. Hopefully you'll have a lot of time with family and friends gathered around the table. The kitchen's going to get lots of laughter and a lot of noise in it. And it's that noise that we want to focus on a little bit this morning because Dr. Tiffany Ahlberg is back on the show with us. She, of course, has Ahlberg Audiology in Cleveland and in Athens. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So when you are a person who does not struggle with hearing loss, the noise is just fun and you don't have any embarrassment in saying, "What'd you say? I couldn't hear you." But if you struggle,
sometimes, you know, I do have people who have normal hearing who will come in and say, "I don't know why I am really having a hard time in certain situations."
Oh.
And I'll test them and they will be normal, and yay. It's just the difficult situations that they're in.
But so often in hearing loss, what you have told us over the years, I have learned, is that people sort of suspect that they're struggling, but there's a denial factor, and then that's augmented this time of year.
Hearing loss is one of those things that is so slow in progression that we compensate. And so, and most of the time, it's a very, I think we've talked about this before, it's a misunderstanding. You're not deaf. You don't not hear anything. You hear something. So it's tone. There's some tones that you hear very well with some hearing losses and with most hearing losses. And then you drop off in other tones, which gives you loudness of speech, but not distinction of speech.
Okay.
So some sounds are loudness, some sounds are distinction, and so the clarity is gone out of speech.
Okay, so let's talk kind of some hypotheticals, can we?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, let's use this hypothetical.
Okay.
Let's use the hypothetical that it's Thanksgiving or Halloween night, whatever, and everybody's gathered around, and one person in the group is either not engaging or they're chiming in late or asking for you to repeat it. If that person has ever had their hearing tested, probably should?
Yes. I mean, it's very obvious. It's very obvious when you're in a group of people that somebody isn't hearing if they're trying to be in that group conversation.
Okay.
And if everybody's struggling, that's one thing. If it's just one person who keeps misunderstanding, that's another thing.
Okay.
So hearing loss is way more obvious than I think people think that it is when you're the one struggling with it. You think you're playing it off and that you're faking it really well, and you're not most of the time.
Okay, what if you are the person struggling and the family members want to talk to you about it? If the person with the hearing loss says, "Well, I don't want to have a hearing aid," is that always the answer, a hearing aid? In other words, you see.
Most of the time, I mean, if we discover that there is hearing loss, if somebody wants to fix it, a hearing aid is the answer. But when someone is struggling with, they don't want a hearing test because they don't want a hearing aid, my advice on that is start off with just a hearing test. To me, knowledge is power, and I know denial is strong, and when we deny, we don't know, and we can we can refuse to accept that it's a real issue. But if people will at least start off with a hearing test, and there is, especially, I mean, I assume, that most audiologists, there's no pressure, but in our office, there's no pressure. If somebody does not want to talk about hearing aids, we don't talk about hearing aids. But at least get a hearing test. Know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, okay, so let's pause on that for a second because there's responsibility, if you will, in both parties, right? The person with the hearing loss has some responsibility to those who love him or her.
Yes.
The people who love that person have some responsibility to understand.
Yes.
So if you go and get your baseline hearing test and you find out what tones you cannot hear, but you don't want to get a hearing aid, can you at least then learn some strategies maybe to help you engage?
I mean, you can, but I feel like, down the road, those people are going to have to, at some point, if they want to fix it, they're going to have to get a hearing aid most of the time.
Okay.
But you don't have to start off with that. Start off with just knowing what you're dealing with. Again, I think I've referenced this to other things, but let's say you go to the doctor and you're like, my back hurts, and they find out that you have a hip issue and you need to have a hip replacement. You don't have to make that decision then. Go home, process it, think about it, come to terms with it, like accept it, and then do something about it.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the hearing aids. I mean, most of the time, the answer is we got to fix it at some point to help that person. But yes, I mean, strategies for a period of time will help, and just knowing like what you're dealing with.
So you revealed something on the show a few months ago that you yourself struggle
Yes.
with a hearing loss, and I think you told me it was your daughter who kind of came to you and said, "Mom." So, and I bring that up not to dwell on it, but to let people know you understand both sides of the emotions here.
I understand very, very, very well. Yes.
Also, the hearing devices come in all different types of uses, sizes, all of it. They're very discreet now.
Yeah, we try to find something that will work for everyone, so that if someone is totally against a very visible device, then we can find something that will work for them and help them without being something that they're not going to put on because of the way it looks.
Okay, so now let's imagine that we have this perfect scenario and the person with the hearing loss has gotten the hearing aid. There's still a bit of adjustment to that happens, I would imagine. So you're all gathered around that Thanksgiving table. What should the loved ones know to support that person?
Well, just know, even when you fix your hearing, then it's not, even when you help your hearing, we're not exactly fixing everything. So there is still going to be a lot of times, issues when there's a lot of background noise. Don't be one of those people who turns your back and walks away and expects that person to hear them from another room. It's completely unrealistic to walk away from someone and be in a different room and expect them to know everything that you said.
Okay.
I mean, visual clue, we learned this during COVID when we were all wearing masks and we couldn't see people's lips. Most people reported that they had a hard time hearing and understanding people. And so that is something that's muffling the sound. We're losing visibility, and that is what people with hearing loss are often dealing with.
I love talking to you about this because it affects everybody at some point in their life. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Dr. Tiffany Ahlberg, 2 locations there on North Ocoee Street in Cleveland and then Congress Parkway in Athens. If you go to the website, ahlbergaudiology.com, you can learn more. And the phone numbers are there for you to give them a call at the closest location to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marsha has a big old house. This is mine. While she took millions from Big Pharma and voted against lowering our costs for insulin, I expanded healthcare. Surprised? I'm not. I'm Gloria Johnson, and I approve this message.
I got hurt by a texting driver, and the insurance company is rushing me to settle.
I've got $10,000 in medical bills, and they only offered me $5,000.
If you've been hurt in a car